Getting to the end of myself. In the end, the complex PTSD diagnosis was a gift in disguise, along with the sledgehammer antidepressants they prescribed, that I refused to take after 3 days of forgetting everything but my name, sleeping like a drunken bear in winter and waking full of rage. They said it was normal, that it just takes a while to adjust, and I know for some folks, the meds give them their life back, but I couldn't stand them. Was led to a Christian naturopath who offered a regimen of ridiculously expensive, highly effective supplements, a prescription of clean water, organic fruits and vegetables, and a caffeine detox. The fact that it was a Christian that cured my body seemed at the time to be only a footnote to the story. I wasn't exactly what you'd call a church girl. I was no holy roller. I was an artist, a new age intellectual, polytheistic at best, or at the very least agnostic. I was a student of the occult, or esoteric mysticism, Reiki, astrology, numerology, tarot, crystals, and Joseph Campbell had my attention. But when complex PTSD arm wrestled my life to the ground, when the enemy had me sucker punched and crushed, I gave up and became as open-minded as an atheist soldier in a foxhole. I remember it was the end of October, and the skeleton hands reaching out of gardens started to spook me. Realistic Halloween displays began to make my skin tremble, began to leave me short of breath and jittery. And the crying. I couldn't make it stop. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, would be shaken awake every night with a sense of fear, dread, and foreboding. I wrote a poem full of reasons to keep on keeping on in this hollow, harrowing world, but eventually a poem wasn't enough to save me. But still, I stayed and hoped and waited and prayed until each moment felt like torture, until I just couldn't take it anymore. And then suddenly surrendered, face drenched, eyes red, down on my knees, fully broken, fully empty, ready to leave. Begging God to help me, saying, if you want me to be here, you're going to have to put an end to all this. I give up. If you want my life, you can have it. And then, in that moment that followed, God answered and changed everything for good. Suddenly, all the pain left me, and instead, I was full of peace. That peace they talk about that surpasses all understanding, that peace of receiving God's mercy, that peace of being saved in every sense. Suddenly, my suffering stopped, and I knew I was on my way to being healed. This knowing was sure, immediate, and total, like a light had been turned on, and I wasn't alone in the darkness anymore. And from that moment, everything I needed began to appear in answer to my prayers. I know it seems like a fairy tale, but that's what happened. I prayed for a way to get well without antidepressants, and God sent me the naturopath. I prayed for a therapist who would let me bring my full born-again self to the session, and I was led to Claudia, the trauma expert at the Christian Counseling Center. In the first session, I couldn't stop crying. Claudia was not at all daunted and didn't stop smiling, which I confess confused me immensely, but it stopped the tears finally. For weeks, she told me repeatedly that the problem wasn't too much that bad things happened to me in the past, but the fact that, as she put it with her charming Spanish accent, you have no idea who you really are. When she said that, I looked at her, incredulous, wondered if she didn't understand my English. But I came back every week to see her, and she listened and was kind and wise, and I started to trust her. 2 years later, it finally became clear. I was not born to be conformed to this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of my mind so that I may finally know the purpose for this miracle that is my life. I know for sure it isn't just to suffer. That's a deception meant to keep me off course. My life is a gift given for a reason, a commission, for a peaceful end and not for evil, for a good and hopeful future. Thank God, thank goodness, thank Jesus. I am still here. I'm still